said, what do you do? And then I told her.
Yeah.
And she said, can you be that? and I said, yeah, I can wear all stars and still be there.
Yes.
And she said, for her, the important part was that I was sitting with them and they didn't feel that. They didn't see that. They didn't even think it.
Good evening and welcome to another episode of Lincoln Mali Podcast. This is where we have amazing conversations with some of the trailblazers in our country and throughout the world. Today I have such a special opportunity to have a conversation with somebody so dear, somebody I've admired and worked with for so many years. This is somebody who is at the most senior level in financial services in South Africa, who sits at the top of a bank. This is somebody who's dedicated about 36 years in financial services. Somebody who's a mom, somebody who's a leader, somebody who's a coach, somebody who's developed so many people. I have great pleasure to introduce to you Ms. Hannah Sadiki, the MD of Bidvest and the CEO of Bidvest Financial Services. In your growth, you've had a lot of people on your journey. But I'm going to be unkind and say, if you were to pick 3 people who were the biggest influences in your life on your journey, and I'm not going to talk about the boys, I'm coming later to the boys.
Okay, we leave family out. Okay.
No, don't leave family out. But I'm taking out the boys, I'll come back to the boys.
If I had to pick 3 people, yeah, Lincoln is.
We can combine if you want.
So can I say, in Standard Bank, I was fortunate to have 4 leaders, of whom even today, I walk around with voices in my head. They're like little babies that I go, Lincoln would have said, Matus. Peter Slebush would be like, just go and try it out. I know I'm asking you a lot. Those words are always, I know I'm asking you a lot. I mean, when he gave me the biggest CRM project in the country, I thought we were all bananas. But the experience he gave me is the reason I was successful in Angola.
Yes.
When Jaco asked me to do a roadshow with him on values, is why today, I think if you spoke to this team here, this team in Angola will go principled, values driven. And that for me is key. And you've always said be yourself. You know, so Slebush, Watinhood, Jaco, yourself will always be the voices in my head that influence me. Not just in work environment. All of you influence my spiritual life. All of you influence the way I show up as a mother. All of you influence the way I show up as a sister, a daughter, an aunt. All of you made me understand that I come first before a man. And you don't find leaders in corporate having a holistic view about a person and caring to that level. And I have many examples of good times and trying times that, ironically, I was telling one of the team members that each one of you have carried me in the most difficult events of my life. Each one of you. So that's why the influence. I can't choose any of you from that point. If I had to go to family, my grandma, I think you know, I spoke about my grandma all the time. I spoke about my dad all the time. He was driving excellence, who was
Unwanampil.
Yeah. Who he's worked in the community. What he brought into Soweto as a teacher and a principal. As much as I didn't want to be a teacher, today I feel like the teacher in me is there. And my mom. My mom, who showed me that being a single parent, because while they divorced, they were friends. But she showed me that in Sesotho we say, you hold that knife in your hand to protect, to carve, food, to do everything that you can for your family to be better than what you are as a mother. And
one of the things that I certainly try and bring across to men is this thing of supporting a colleague through everything, the darkest moments. How could you explain that more from a woman's perspective? Because some guys feel if you're going to talk about something that's deeply personal, it's uncomfortable. But I'm saying, but how can you lead unless you lead the whole person with all of their challenges?
Lincoln, I want to say that when you lead with a heart, you almost don't have a choice but to actually go there because you want the person to bring their full self.
Yes.
Men need to understand that a woman who brings their full self into a job will give you 3 times more. It's a fact. We are naturals, we are hard workers. I'm not saying men are not, but we have a way of working that will have a bigger influence than you're thinking. If I am happy or if I walk in and I'm not happy, but I know the days that I've come from the house and things are not good and I'm able to go, this morning and you go, it will be okay. Even if you don't say it will be okay, you say, I'm here if you need us to speak. I go out there knowing you are there. So that's one. 2 is particularly when a woman wants to has challenges at home with a man. The man is a better person to guide the woman because you know how a man is thinking. And so when you are not sharing, so I go to other women, but we don't know how men. So you're actually depriving yourself of mentoring me of how I should think like a man and be able to solve my problems or challenges or negotiate better like a man. And this is where women play a bigger role. We try and speak to each other around, but as a woman I would, and we need that. I do that with. I don't do it as well as I should. I think in reflection, I think I can do more. But my team, I remind them, can you go home? I don't want your wife hating
the work.
Or the work. Don't forget birthdays. For us women, it's important. And we I'm silly in that way that I'll go, hey, yesterday you said something about tomorrow is your wife. So what are you doing?
Exactly.
And they go, but you can't ask me that. I go, I hope you're going to wow her because you've been here all week. Because I know a woman would need that, and a woman would think, he's been at work the whole week. Can you just come and bring flowers, bring this, or take me to dinner? So it's vice versa. As women, we must also be able to have an understanding of a man could be going through challenges or could be having difficulty in the way the wife is thinking at home and try and figure it out. So it's both ways. I think it's even more important because there's a lot more men still in this country that are sitting at the helm. So it's a lot more important for them to be conscious of that and be helping us with that.
And you've been at the forefront of some of the biggest innovations at the time in banking, because people see what we've got now. I mean, I can do my banking and everything, right? But just give us 2 or 3 of those that you were involved in back in the day. I don't want to steal the thunder and say what they are, but it's important for people to understand because those things were not common then.
So Lincoln, I mean, I joined the bank as a teller. At the time, the banks were kind of figuring out whether to roll out ATMs or not. As a youngster in the bank who did not even know what automated teller machine means, coming from Meadowlands, sitting with my team leader who was trying to figure out, we are being asked to do this. I then, played a role of, why don't we ask? I guess because I came from a research background, as a medical technology.
Yes.
I don't say that loud as you know.
Yes.
So I started saying, let's ask questions to all ages on what it would mean when we take the savings book. And then we drafted a comms as well as a plan, which then my team leader said, then you go and stand outside. And
tell people they won't have their book.
And we were showing. So that's my starting of the new innovation
at the time.
Which talks to how long I've been alive.
Yes.
And then the second one that I take pride in because it taught me so much. I came out of a branch network. I took a chance because somebody saw that I could, and they said, come and build internet banking. And my boss at the time said, we actually don't know what we're building. And I said, Charles, so if you as this executive in this whole team, you don't know what we're building, so what? And he said, you won't have a job description. Long story short, we started reading up. We were about 12. We started reading up. I became the analyst because I chose to be the analyst because no one was given a specific job. And other people chose, and we had this IT team. We started building. I started writing what today we call user cases or storylines there to say and flows. Well, the customer does 1, 2, 3 right now, and internet on telephone banking. This is what we need to be doing on internet. Can we do it better? And we started doing that. And we had a thing about we want to get out before any other bank. And I'm proud that we did go out at the exhibition before all other banks. We announced our internet banking then before the banks in the country. And I got involved in it until it got to when I changed roles out of that space. But I was party to that, and when you come from an environment where there was no computer at home, but you're part of a team that builds internet banking, it speaks to that courage that I spoke about, the conformity. My friends were, do you know? So what is this internet banking? They thought I was crazy. And that's the second thing. The third thing is the bank wanted to move into a single CRM platform. And I referred to it when I spoke about Peter Slebush. Peter Slebush came and you said, you have a full-time job, we know. And I think you started something that's carried on in my life around having 2 jobs. And you said, we are looking for someone who will head up a whole IT team. And I said, but I don't have IT. And you all said you've worked in IT when you build internet banking. You know how to speak to IT people. We've seen you in projects within the bank. We want someone who will build it with the front line in mind, with the customer in mind, and you clearly know that. So walk in. I mean, a team of 1,100 people that I've had to lead, over 11 million clients that we had to migrate. And we were the start of a single platform. The fact that it's different today is another thing. It was a $2 billion rand, project that I think we did very, very well. And it challenged us. I mean, SAP themselves, Lincoln had never done it like that because they'd never had a lead being a business person. To the point that they asked me to go and speak, which they never ask financial services people to go and speak at their yearly conference of their OSEP people to talk about how important a project is of that magnitude when it's led at a business level by someone who will think about client and frontline, because they saw that as a turnaround on how they did things. And these are people who are propeller heads with intelligent people. And I can't tell you the number of people even today that still I speak to because of that project.
So Hannah, you've taken on jobs where you're thrown in the deep end. You're asked to be a provincial head in the Eastern Cape. You're asked to be the head of a business in Angola. All of this environment, you come where nobody knows you. It's a different environment, different culture, different languages. How do you deal with this thing of adapting to an environment? and go in there, make a change, and leave the place, and everybody's still talking about you today?
Lincoln, it goes back to the 5 key things I said about leadership. Is you need to go there knowing yourself. And so you don't walk in and sell smoke screen. You walk in and say, this is me, and I come as I am. 2, you walk in without wanting to conform, 3, having the courage. But importantly, understanding that everyone else is themselves.
Yes.
And you need to know and appreciate them
for who they are. Not what you would want them to be.
Not what I want.
Yeah.
When I arrived in the Eastern Cape, it was about, I need to know, and I don't know if you know this, I spoke all languages in the country besides Ndebele and Xhosa. And then I get sent to Xhosa land.
Yes.
So it was, here's Hannah speaking a broken Xhosa that is influenced by Zulu.
Yeah.
And I knew that if I am to be successful with the team, I needed to know everyone for who they are. I needed to understand the culture, which meant I needed to learn the language. I spent the first 6 months going to all the corners of the Eastern Cape that my own team were saying, I've not been there. What were you doing there? And I go, but we are the branch.
Absolutely.
And so how do I understand that there's a difference between umntu ohlala eGqeberha nomntu oyimpondo how would I know umtata is different? Because if I sit eGqeberha, I'll only think about the business from that perspective and not the food.
And you just say it's the Eastern Cape. And so the dynamics you wouldn't understand.
Understanding and the culture led me to knowing how do I work with the team in building that business together.
You and I
didn't build it with a Joburg perspective.
Yes.
In actual fact, I think even today there's people who in the Eastern Cape who don't come from there, who think, I'm like, wait.
Yes.
Did you see my saying that?
Yes.
But it's because I immersed myself in being one of the people without losing myself, without conforming to things that I don't want to conform to. I adapted what I knew was important for me to adapt in order to make the business work.